It's lip sync slayoff time. Hi, hello everyone, my name is Jer, and apart from sleeping, I am chronically online. I hope y'all had a lovely holiday season. If you celebrated, I was with family, and within 3 minutes of the episode starting, all the content farmers spoiled the entire episode. So I knew what was going to happen going into it, but I was still excited all the same. I've got a lot of opinions as usual, but I am excited to hear what y'all's were because I feel like we're always different from each other and butting heads. In the cold open this week, we find out that Sammy wanted to save Saltina because of some deeply personal reasons. Aside from also knowing each other before the competition, Saltina helping Sammy realize that she's got the star power inside of her. I don't know. Friendships aside, I have a long memory and I would have remembered that Saltina made me lip sync in week 2, and I probably would not have saved her for that very reason, but I also have Latino pettiness inside of me. And Van gets an interesting storyline from the beginning of the episode to the very end, where she starts saying that all of these saving you because we're friend moves are boring. Where are the big swings? Why are people not making massive moves in the competition? To then calling out Saltina for not wanting to save her because she's got the best track record. From an editing perspective, I would assume that this is to create a little instability in Van's storyline. From an initial glance, these statements seem to be at odds with each other, but there's so much deeper at play, when in fact Van is calling out Saltina later on in the episode during Untucked for not following the gameplay that she said she was going to play. And I cannot help but feel like a lot of production frustration started to come into focus this week. I think we see a couple of echoes of maybe specifically Van's frustration with the way that Saltina has moved through the competition. Putting myself in the heels of the competitors, when I have been in competitions before and I saw someone was getting a push, it led to frustration for me because I was wondering, what did the judges see in you that they're sending home other people who I think and perceive are doing better than you? Why are you still here? I feel like some of the frustration about Saltina maybe getting a little bit of a forward push maybe is what caused Van to be so upset and Untucked. The biggest storyline this week is between the two of them. The editors are setting them up as rival characters, and I feel like that's gonna play out into the finale. So I can't wait to see where that goes. And really the meat and potatoes of this week are the lip sync slayoff, so let's get into that. But first, let's detract to talk about how incredible Brooke looked in her original season 11 promo redo, bringing out an archived piece. Rue's done that a few times. I think about specifically her VH1 look that she busted out in season 7 of Mainline Drag Race. I think she redid a finale look in season 14 that she wore in maybe season 10 or 11. I enjoyed the addition of the applique on the right side of the garment. I think it helped fill out some of the space that was left by all of that orange. The slayoffs this season are in Canada 4 style. Praise the Lord. I love Canada's Drag Race a lot, but it's a frustration of mine that Crave only gives them a max of 9 episodes because this week having a double elimination, 1 sucked, but 2 didn't feel necessary. It's a requirement based on the number of episodes they have, and they did a non-elimination week 1, but it feels bad all the same. And I wish that Crave would just give them a complete season. Drag Race España gets 12 episodes every single year and has since season 2, I think. Drag Race UK gets a god-awful amount of episodes. Even Drag Race Italia had more episodes than Canada's Drag Race gets. I don't understand why this is such a great franchise and gets 8 or 9 episodes each year. Sometimes 6 for their version of All Stars. Like, that feels so bad. I want to see a complete season of Canada's Drag Race because I think that they deserve it. And also, the concept of 2 queens going home on Christmas Day and having their anniversaries on Christmas Day. That is trauma if I've ever heard of it. Mother Serene is back this week to draw the names for who will choose their lip sync songs. I enjoy the way that Canada's Drag Race orders the lip sync choices. There's very little what you could consider riggery at foot or trickery at play because they're not pulling balls out of a hopper that any pit crew member could do what production wants them to do. These are names in an envelope, there's no way for them to know who's who, and they just draw it randomly. So it all appears, at least outwardly, very smooth and fair. There's only one pairing that I want to talk specifically about before we get to the actual lip syncs, and that's Ebony choosing her sister Van. I've got a little tinfoil hat theory, so join me for a ride. Ebony and Van are smart cookies. They seem like They know reality TV, they know Drag Race, they know how this all works. And I get this tingly feeling of we knew what we were doing. They want to make it to the finale, and they also know that 2 people are going to go home this week. Ebony is a great lip syncer, but the judges seem to favor very specific contestants, so could she beat them? And strategically, if she and Van are against different people, there's a possibility, a small one, that both of them could end up for elimination, and neither one of them can help each other out of that situation. And so maybe it makes the most sense if they put each other together. It guarantees that at least one of them will go to the next round and potentially make it to the end to be able to save each other. Especially because the remaining players were Caramel, PM, and Velma. Velma very likely was going to choose the Celine song if she got to go next. And Caramel is the lip sync assassin this season, and PM is the one that they've all set up as the one to lose to. Is it more of a risk for Ebony to round 1 go against Caramel or against PM? Especially knowing that It's Okay, I'm Okay is Caramel's bread and butter song. Is that smart to go against her? Because she'll probably win. And if you go against Sammy, you're probably not going to win because she's going to excel at the comedy part. I think Ebony was smart in thinking about what the options were and realized that the best option to strategically move forward was to go against Van. Because worst case scenario, she loses and Van progresses, and potentially if Van can beat her, goes to the last round. And then they get to save each other. So let's talk about these lip syncs. We have round 1, Saltina versus Maya to Shut Up and Kiss Me. This is such a talented duo. I'm gonna be a little more hypercritical just to kind of explain where my thought process was, because I think they both had equal highs and lows. For me personally, I don't like when a costume piece comes on within the first couple bars of a song. Leave that shit on until at least the first chorus is over and then take it off. I think Saltina could have kept the coat on just a little longer. And while I think she's a great performer, her movements are uber fluid and precise, you can tell that she performs a lot for TikTok, where your mouth doesn't need to open and exaggerate a lot. Your focus is here. They already can see your mouth. You don't have to do the typical drag queen chewing and chomping on words, the jujube of lip syncing, giving good mouth. Her mouth is not as exaggerated as her body movements are, so sometimes I kind of lost the lyrics a bit because everything is so small in the articulation. And then we move over to Maya, who I was surprised by. I didn't think that she could do this kind of lip sync song without bringing some comedy to it. And that's where she excelled, because she impressed me that she was able to even do this kind of lip sync number. And she didn't rely on any old faithfuls or do any type of comedy faces to get through the lip sync. My biggest problem with her is that her movements were small and a little stiff, but her mouth was chomping on those words, which I want to see in a Drag Race lip sync. And then also her hair was in her face every now and again, so that was a little distracting. Again, they both had highs and lows in their performances, and I think this could have gone to either one of them, but ultimately it does go to Saltina. I probably would have chosen Maya only because I like what she's bringing to TV a little more, and I've really come to like her and enjoy her, and I think she would be an unexpected person to move to the next episode, where Saltina is maybe a little more expected to go to the next episode. Round 2 is Sammy versus PM to I'm Alive. In the confessions, the girls kept saying that Sammy looked so much like Celine, and I thought, did she? I was locked in on Sammy's performance. She highlighted the oddest segments that I think most people wouldn't think about and nailed them perfectly. The licking of the teeth was psychotic, but I was extremely impressed that she got that. Her movements flowed naturally from lyric to lyric. She didn't resort to doing anything crazy. She just performed really well, with a little oddity here and there. I think where PM maybe lost the plot a little bit was her movements and mouth position were ready just a step before the lyrics were, and that happens sometimes. You're just getting ready for the next line, so you start to point and get your body ready for the next lyric, but it doesn't have a rhythm and a flow where someone like Sammy was just feeling the music and feeling the vibes and going with it, and everything flowed like water. Sammy wins this, I totally agreed, and moves on to the next round, putting PM in the bottom. Round 3 is Ebony and Van to Feel Good. These two are my biases and I love them so much, so this sucked to see them both together because I knew one of them would land in the bottom. Ebony understood the mood of this song perfectly and encapsulated the energy in a way that I think Van just didn't quite. And she did something that I always respond well to, which is starting low and slow and then raise the energy up and doing more and more as the song progresses. There's a sort of triumphant buildup that happens when you lip sync like that, where I think Van was maybe doing a little bit too much. It didn't have enough highs and lows. It kind of just started with stunts and tricks and then those kept going, where I think whenever Ebony did a stunt, it was more surprising. I love her energy of, oh yeah girl, I got this. Because as an audience member, that makes me feel really safe watching her, and I just know that she's gonna take me on a good journey through this performance. There's not ever a moment where I'm thinking, ooh, what is she gonna do next? Ebony is called as the winner, which I totally agreed with, meaning that Van is in the bottom. RIP. And then round 4 is Caramel and Velma to It's Okay, I'm Okay. To which Caramel said that this is her song. She does this all the time. And I think you can tell that she does, because everything was natural. The movements to the rhythm and the beats, it looked like she had done this 100 times. She just knew it. And last week, for anyone that watched my review, knows that I thought that Caramel's performance might get a little stale. That maybe she would just rely on the same 2 or 3 arm movements that she's done in the last couple lip syncs, and it wouldn't be as dynamic. I was incorrect, and I'm okay saying that, because she served the hell out of this lip sync. Velma was sexy and funny at the same time, which is kind of a hard line to figure out how to blend. My problem was that she seemed kind of hesitant to commit to some of the lyrics or some of the movements. Like, this is not her typical gig, and so she was not present as much as she could have been. And that resistance to committing, I think, allowed Caramel to steamroll her. And I also don't think that this blonde Shakira wig helped very much, because it was in her face a lot, and that was quite distracting for me. Caramel wins this one, putting Velma in the bottom 4. And so the semi-final round begins with Sammy and Saltina to Don'tcha by the Pussycat Dolls. The last time we saw this lip sync on Drag Race, from my recollection, it was when Yara Sofia ruined Alexis's chance to send Raven packing. So I trauma response to that button getting hit. I don't understand why Saltina brought that big ass coat to this lip sync, because it wasn't necessary if she was just gonna take it off within the first couple of notes. I just really don't like when costume pieces come off that quickly. I wanna see you linger in them. But also, the coat was not good for the lip sync song. In my opinion, I think that Sammy brought it harder than Saltina. I think she captured the vibe and essence of that time period and had that trashy chic thing that the Pussycat Dolls have. I think her movements were interesting, and she incorporated a little bit of her comedy perspective, which, much like what I gave credit to Velma for doing, that's kind of a hard line to blend together, being sexy and comedic. But I think that Sammy did that. Saltina, I think, was doing a little too much floor work that I lost her face. I lost the lip syncing. The performance was fine to me, but I want to see her mouth move to everything. And when her mouth articulation is already so small, I just don't want to lose any more focus on that. Saltina is pushed through, but I thought that it should have gone to Sammy. And then round 6 is Ebony and Caramel to the song Work. Oh, this was a battle of hips and booty. This lip sync was incredible. Easily the best one of the whole season. It was such an even battle until Ebony slid on the floor on her belly and was throwing it back while checking her nails. Girl, that is diva. She is so hot for no reason. And Ebony knows that she's hot. Like, she's gotta know. They both worked so hard, and if this was any other situation, this would be a double win. But I don't know if logistically that would have been too complicated. And the final lip sync is for the Beaver, and it's between Saltina and Ebony to You Plus Your Hand. Ebony was giving a masterclass on how to lip sync. You could quite literally do a play-by-play on this where you zero in on her legs, on her feet, on her hands, the way that she hits these hidden beats within the song. When her foot steps on the beat, when her hand flicks on the beat, when her legs swung to the beat. It was all perfection. This is how you do it. She was so present in each one of those, and every movement flowed into the next. And I think I remember mentioning in week 1 that I knew she was gonna buck. It's giving winner. Last week, I was concerned that no one was presenting as someone who was a viable frontrunner to win. I think Ebony last week was scooting her way there, but this week absolutely has it on lock. For me, it's between Ebony and Van, but I get the sense that the judges love Saltina, and I get the sense that production and the judges love Sammy. So it's, I think, going to ultimately be between Sammy and Ebony at the end, and I'm gonna be so here for Ebony winning. Putting it out there right now. Ebony rightfully wins the beaver and gets to choose who to save from the bottom 4. Although, I think it would have been sickeningly fierce if that had been a cash prize lip sync win, and then they had the budget for 3 more lip sync songs and made all 4 members of the bottom lip sync. One person goes home from each one of those lip syncs, and then the last 2 standing lip sync once more, and someone goes home from that. That would have been the mother tea. But unfortunately, that was not the case. This Untucked was kind of rough. We have PM and Velma who are broken by the fact that they did not progress into the SmackDown and are automatically in the bottom, knowing that 2 people are going to go home. The odds are not good for them. Where Van and Maya seemed very confident that they deserved to go to the next spot. So the focus and spotlight was really on PM, who's feeling kind of worn down by not excelling at the thing they know they're good at. And many queens on Drag Race have talked about this phenomenon, that being low in a challenge they're normally good at makes them think, well, what am I going to do good at here? If I can't do the thing that I know I can do, how am I gonna win this thing? And especially knowing that this is about to go to top 6, I can imagine that mentally that is so frustrating, and it's probably very hard to get out of your head to be able to even be present in the rest of the competition. Ebony chooses to save Van Gogh, which they're scissor sisters, I get. I wasn't surprised even a little bit. Even with Ebony asking Van, what if I didn't save you? I just thought, that's not gonna happen, girl. You are creating a moment and I live. The lip sync song is Sweet Surrender. And because the content farmers had already spoiled the episode, I knew who was going to go home, so I just enjoyed the lip sync for what it was. From what I could see, it looked like PM was letting all of that frustration from Untucked and from this entire week, maybe even the competition, just play out on the stage, which is what you're supposed to do sometimes. As a performer, when you are feeling such intense energy, you just need to put that on the stage and let it all out and let the audience kind of take some of your burden away. And that's what I felt coming out of PM, is that they were literally just surrendering to the music, not thinking about it too much, and just going for it. Maya, to me, was giving that feeling when you have too much adrenaline coursing through your body. If anyone is watching this that has performed in drag or performed in theaters at all, sometimes when your anxiety is really high, you just are pumping adrenaline and your fingers feel like jelly, your legs feel like pool noodles, and when you're moving around, everything feels kind of off balance because you're just trying to fight the intense blood rush and pulsation that is happening through your body. Pulsation! And I think that's what was going on, because she seemed to lose her balance a lot, was kind of tripping on her own feet, wasn't seeming to step down correctly often, and I got the sense that she was just battling her own body and mind in that moment. So she was a lock to go home in my opinion, which bums me out because I really wanted to see Maya go to the next episode. And Velma was giving it. I think there was just as much reason to save her or PM. So then it comes to what is coming next for me. We have a design challenge next episode. We have already seen that PM can't really construct something that looks amazing. We have not gotten to see Velma construct. So for me, I would have loved to have seen what Velma was going to produce, since I already know that PM is probably not going to create a winning look. And so for me, I would have saved Velma for that purpose. I have a feeling that Van is going to win the next episode. I don't know who else will be high with them, but based on the preview, it looks like Ebony is going to struggle. We know that PM is going to struggle. So does that mean that Saltina also will, or will Saltina manage to work through the challenge? Because I think they make a lot of their own stuff. And I don't know what Caramel is capable of doing. So are they going to send home PM next week? That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Because I think they're going to hold on to Saltina so that they can have them go against Van at some point and have one or the other send each other home. That's the storyline that I'm seeing progressing as of right now. And so that leads us to a double elimination of both Velma and Maya. A couple of weeks ago, I was convinced that Maya should have been the first or second out because she wasn't giving a lot, but she woke up in Snatch Game and just got better and better and better every week. So I was extremely bummed to see her go home right now. Velma is someone who started with a lot of praise and high critiques, but then they just got progressively more bored with her and were not interested in what she was doing and never gave her flowers. I think she could have won the interview challenge. I think she could have won the roast challenge. And so I don't know why they didn't give Velma her flowers, but it was a bummer to see her go home. Again, I would have loved to have seen what she was going to do next, because I think she's got a little more fire. Not saying that PM doesn't, but I am just wondering where this storyline is going to go since they seemed so broken this week. But we'll see. What'd you think about this episode? Who won each one of the lip syncs respectively for you? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see y'all on the flip.